Hello, good evening, everybody, or wherever you are in the world. I hope you're having a fantastic weekend. We have got the unstoppable Kevin Annette with us, and he has brought some of his crew on today. And we are going to be talking about the Republic of Albion. The link to the website is at the top of the description box right now. We've got a slew of images to show as well. So it's going to be a slightly different format from the usual Kevin shows. But I'll hand it over to Kevin to introduce his fellow people who are working on this.
Well, they stand on their own. It's a creation indigenous to these folks here. And it's been an honor to be working with them since, I believe, last summer. Jason, Hannah, and Sam, who are all with us today, they're all sworn citizens of the Republic of Albion that they formed and even raised a flag to reclaim the nation. So I think what I'll do is just let them explain who they are and their vision, and we can get right into it. They are affiliated with our Republic of Canada and this new exciting coalition of constitutional assemblies that have formed in the United States to declare their independence from the Trump and corporate tyranny in general. So it's an exciting time to be doing the show especially.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, Sam, Hannah, and Jason. Who would like to start then? Just give a little bit of an intro about yourselves.
I'll maybe kick off because I was like one of the first to join in. Yes, I'm Jason. I'm from Ilford originally. I was in touch with Kevin like from years ago with the group that was sort of forming. There was a common law group forming back around 2013 from the original court cases. So I was involved a little bit then. It sort of fell apart really. And then, last year we sort of got reconnected and this idea to form a republic started, and really just based on the fact that nothing else has worked or is working, and we need to stand outside and just start building our own future that we want to see.
All right, we'll expand on that in a minute then. Hannah, do you want to say a little bit?
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having us. I'm from London. And I think years ago, probably around 2012, 2013, something like that, I was following what Kevin was doing and was really interested in that. And then all the, lots of other stuff happened, didn't it? So many things we've been through in the last few years. And it was through watching your show that I saw Kevin again and then heard about the Republic of Albion. And I just got in touch to go, I'd like to find out more about that, which was in the summer. And so, the last kind of 4 months, it's very young. We're all kind of working through this as we go. So that's how I got involved, and it's been a really beautiful thing to be part of. So it'd be great to share that with your audience and see if there's some people out there who might want to find out more. So yeah.
Thank you. I'll put Sam on the big screen. Sam.
Hi. Hi. I'm in Norwich, in Norfolk, so I'm a bit across from those two. My partner's here as well, and he's also a citizen of Albion. And I first heard about Kevin and what he was doing through some people I travelled with to the festivals to do talks called Avalon Rising, and that was 15 years ago, 13 years ago. And I was always interested because they were then going through the court case for the Kamloops children. And when Kevin came on your show again, I really wanted to get involved again because we had a big movement of truth people and freedom groups around Norfolk and Suffolk. And we'd hit a stop point where we needed a way forward because we tried everything else.
All right. So I think we need to explain then what the Republic of Albion means for people who are not familiar. Should we start with you, Kevin?
There's a good description if people go to the republicofalbion.com website. And I don't know if I'll let the others kind of comment on that. It gives kind of the general vision, modeled on not simply on what we began in Canada in 2015, but really things that are indigenous to England. For example, the fact that there was a republic in England in 1649, lawfully abolished the monarchy and the House of Lords and made it a crime of treason to reestablish it. And so we're simply standing on British history and constitutional history that, people have the right to govern themselves. And it's an idea that traveled across the Atlantic and sparked the American Revolution and is now traveling back and forth. We're kind of on this transatlantic relay race in reestablishing that lost notion almost of self-governance. I'll let the others comment too. It's a very inspiring, What is Albion? People should read it. It's very inspiring.
Okay, I'll bring Hannah and Jason in next again then.
Should we have a go at explaining?
Go on.
I'll have a go, and then people can jump in. I mean, part of the thing that we're doing is we're not going, this is what it is, and then people join. It's about that. This is, it's about us creating it. But we do have a precedent in, and it's actually a lot of it is about discovering the history of these lands, whatever you want to call them, because we have the foundations here already to build on. So in a way, it's kind of like going back to first principles, which are already part of what the system should be. It's just it's got corrupted along the way and over a very long period of time. And in that kind of slowly boil the frog kind of way, that we all know about they've been very clever about it, incremental little changes here and there, which meant that the foundations, the rock, has kind of been obscured, but it's still there. It's just been obscured. So part of that is Magna Carta. And that's really, we were discussing this before, it's really about the jury, actually, because, what the Article 39 says is that you can't, nothing can happen to you. No one can do something to you, take away your property or put you away or anything like that without the judgment of your peers. That's it. So that's kind of, that's very, very simplified way of looking at it, but that is kind of the bedrock of it in a way. So there's many different avenues to where we're going, but it's a kind of, the first thing I think we're doing, the hardest thing and the most important thing is reconnecting as people, real people with each other. So, in small groups, real people, real life, real action kind of thing, away from screens. And that's probably the hardest thing to do. It's easy for large groups of people to meet up online and on Zoom, right? And then talk about stuff. That's actually we all are used to doing that now. But meeting up in real life and finding out what's going on in people's lives, listening to each other in your local area is quite challenging to do that. You think that would be the easiest thing to do, but we're very atomized, I think, in this country a lot as well. So that's the first thing we're looking to do. It sounds very simple, but it's kind of foundational to create a community again,
Yeah, when it comes to theft of property, the government can be the biggest mafia. If you look at the civil asset forfeiture laws in America, it's out of control over there. But Sam, I'll bring you in because we were just going around the panel, just get the basics first for the viewers about what the Republic of Albion is and why we need it, if you want to focus on that for now.
Yeah, so it's about reclaiming our sovereignty as free beings to govern ourselves, not having somebody tell us what to do, but actually deciding amongst ourselves if that's the right thing to do. And to do that because of a lot of the things that have been done to us and how that's knocked people's confidence. It's about getting people to have that part and take part in building that thing themselves and feeling confident to do it again, rather than fearful because of being brainwashed by the telly or being told something from childhood. So we're getting people to start believing in themselves again and joining in. Yeah.
And what are the major obstacles to this, Sam? Would the monarchy, is the monarchy in the way?
Well, the UK has been created as a company which is not on land. It's like a maritime creation. So again, we want to be back to the common law of the people on the land and not be tricked into thinking we're corporations, but actually that we are living men and women, and that living men and women engage with other living men and women, not corporations with corporations, tricks and money, but actually really doing something to bring it back into natural law in line with nature, and us living in the garden and then creating stuff rather than living in a concrete jungle trying to create a garden. It's the other way around. Yeah.
And for Hannah and Jason, then, how has the Constitution evolved for the Republic?
It's going to be a long process.
Yeah, it'll be a long process. Yeah.
It's evolving.
Yeah, it's evolving. We have some principles of natural law which have been really good.
Yeah.
That we kind of developed from just looking around and kind of. So watch this space, because it's something that everything's become politicized, you know, which is, in a way, it's about the plane of, I call it like the plane of effects. That might sound a bit pretentious, but like what's out there, the drama, you know. So everything's kind of, we're caught up in all the drama of what we see, you know, that are problems for people's lives and challenges for people's lives. And that's, we can get caught in that world, and it's almost like rabbit in the headlight of kind of like, oh, there's immigration and taxation and theft and this and that, you know, and they're kind of digging down so that we look at what causes that, and actually kind of spending a bit of time in it. It's like changing a mindset, really. And yeah, it's quite hard to explain, but we're working on the Constitution, but it's going to be a collective effort, and it will take a long time to build that. Didn't
it take 20 years for the American Constitution?
I think Kevin wants to come in.
I really appreciate what the folks are saying right now, because it's a long process of developing a constitution. When you look at the American history, the Constitution actually conservatized the revolution, because the original vision had to be turned into something that like everybody could agree on. And when you do that, you're losing something of the founding spirit. And so, I mean, in Canada, when we developed a constitution, like Hannah and Jason said, it's still in process, but it took a number of years, and it was an exciting process. We said to the local cells and assemblies, write out the vision you want of Canada. And it all entered into it, all these different ideas. You know, one of them, foundational ones, being that the land is a gift to all. It isn't owned by a few. And it needs to be shared cooperatively. We're not talking about state or corporate control. We're talking about the people in their own communities, sharing the wealth, sharing the land, making it a place for everyone, and retaining our cultural identity, right? As English people or as whoever, that's whole part and parcel of it, the whole thing. So it's a long process, and yet it's as long as you're rooted in the land and each other, it's a very what's the word, fecundity? It's a very life-giving process all the time, because people have a sense that I have a stake in this. I'm governing myself, and therefore I'm going to defend this new republic. It isn't something being imposed on me by a think tank or a bunch of politicians. It's the people themselves creating their own liberation. And that's what's really exciting about this whole thing, right?
So do you have to circumvent the monarchy, Kevin?
Yeah, very much. It's not a matter of battling it. It's a redundant thing that'll just fall away like rotten fruit. You know, as a matter of fact, like I wrote this letter to Charles to come and debate me on the whole issue of why he should abdicate, because it's not only redundancy, but it's only a de facto power. There's never a de jure power since its abolition on March 17, 1649 by an act of parliament. It doesn't actually exist as a lawful entity. So we can ignore it. And we do that. That's our attitude to power. We tell people to come out of it. We say to all the officials, come out and join our new republics. Let the old system fall away.
So you've got tons of viewer questions coming in already. I'm just going to put one up now because it's pertinent to what you guys are talking about, and I'll give it to Hannah and Jason. And this is from Michael on Facebook. So real people getting together and governing, are these people elected or self-appointed?
No, they're not. They're not elected. They're not self-appointed.
Neither.
It's just you taking responsibility for your own life and being part of something and deciding to join something where you get together with other people and build something. You know, you've got to choose it or not.
There are mechanisms. There are mechanisms that we can use. Like, you know, if you get together with a group of 12, right? That's quite a magic number that we have that in the jury. We have it. So there are mechanisms that those people can decide whereby they follow the principles of the Constitution, which is basically that you don't have separated. You're not having special interests. The people at no point give away their power to an authority which tells them what to do. Yes, we can choose people because we all have different skills. We're all good at different things, and that's really important. It's not like everyone's the same. I mean, it's the opposite of that. We're all unique. It's like that, the different, like unity, not uniformity. You know, that there's a sense that we're all going towards the same thing. So you can have mechanisms like unanimity. If you're going to decide something, everyone agrees, and they really have to. They have to be looking at their own conscience. So if you genuinely go, no, I think from my heart, I don't think that's a good idea, then it doesn't happen, you know. And that's a really good rule for just generally if you're doing something in a group, because it's all about that, isn't it? How you work in groups. Yeah, which is why we're really trying to start with small groups, like, you know, 3, 4, 5 people that get to know each other, that are actually connected in real life in the same area. I know it sounds really banal and it sounds really old fashioned, but without that, we don't get community. And what we get is disparate people online discussing things, which it won't happen. Nothing will happen from that. There's the bit that I'm challenged by the most. You know, I think a lot of people are, because we're so disconnected from each other. I don't know if that answered the question, but.
Yeah, it's good. The longer the answers, the better. Sam, anything to add to that? I'll just go back to what Michael said. So real people getting together and governing, are these people elected or self-appointed?
The only thing that does come to mind, the difference with our group, is that we do take an oath or a pledge to one another to make a commitment to put our time and effort into building the Republic, telling people about the Republic and educating ourselves. So we don't have to be elected, because I've tried that. But this works. This works because we're doing this together, and you've got ownership, or you know, you've got a part of it that's yours. It's not somebody else's. It's ours.
All right. Anything to add there, Kevin?
In here, we go into the whole issue of representative versus direct democracy, and representative democracy is a contradiction in terms, because you're handing away your authority to somebody with a little mark. You know, there's that funny cartoon, the guy's showing up he holds up a sign with 10 X's on it, and he says, here's your lifetime ration of democracy, right? You get 10 chances in a lifetime to have a say. But direct democracy is you don't elect someone, you delegate responsibilities. And if they don't do what the people want, they're removed. Immediate removal. When it gets bigger, we're not talking to the level of what everyone's saying, but eventually when it gets larger enough, you have, let's say, a district assembly. Everything lies in the hands of the people. The local people can negate any decision of the government they don't like. They can remove from office anybody they don't like. That's far cry from what we have now. I mean, it's dictatorship versus direct, you know, governing on ourselves, right?
Were you about to add something there, Sam? Is it?
Well, it's got a spiritual aspect to it. It's not like in a corporate sense. So it's about your conscience as well, about your moral conscience. So that, you know, if you think about something and it makes sense to where you are and what's going on, then you get the background, then, you know, you can make a decision together. It's not going to be a decision made from the top down. It's got to be considering, you know, the spiritual, mental, physical things, all those things together. Yeah.
And one of the images I was sent is of ley lines. So how does this dovetail with what you guys are doing? Let's see if I make it bigger.
We're looking to. I'll start, and then
go for it.
You can jump in. So basically, we're looking to try and, you know, we started to do work to clear these lines, to clear the energy on these lines, Yeah, because if you look through like history, like a lot of sacred sites are on energy lines, a lot of sacred wells on energy lines, and most of them have been taken control of, like land being stolen, which is the long history of this country. So the idea, apparently, that there's been a lot of dark work. People, you can talk about it more. I wasn't so aware of it, but just the idea of going to these energy sites. We went to Dragon's Hill in Uffington end of last year, and it was amazing, like really amazing experience. You could feel the energy there, and just doing our own prayers, doing our own thoughts, doing our own like ceremonies. Some people put different stones or whatever for energy. That's part of it. That's part of reclaiming this land and reclaiming ourselves.
Yeah. In Kanata, you have a really kind of amazing gift, which is you have active Indigenous community and elders that can help with that process. On these islands, we have to be those. We have to be the elders, and it's a kind of, because there's been the whole history of all kinds of other stuff that has gone on in this country, which you go into a lot in your channel, and how we're kind of a little bit at the head of the snake, or whatever anyone wants to call it, how we want to describe that. It's a personal thing. All of this is a personal thing. It's about kind of connecting with where you live, the place. Doesn't matter what you call it. We're calling it Albion because it makes sense to do that. But so the kind of the connection with the land, because really it's all about that. All the stuff that we're going through is all about a place and the energy and the people in that place. And there's a huge amount of energy on these islands. There's a lot of creative energy of people. We know that because we see it all around us, So it's a kind of way of getting to the root of it, actually dealing with some dark stuff that have happened on these sites, being there as people. We know that they use those places in different ways. And so just being a presence there as well is really important, as well as actually just for us personally connecting with the islands that we live on, and they're very beautiful.
Can I just, Sean, can I just start, Sam, can you talk about what the stuff that you found out in Norfolk, as far as the dark stuff that's happening on these lines?
Yeah, we were interviewing a guy who's been working with the church, and he'd found Satanists operating on one of the ley lines and on one of the sites. So I started looking into that site and found it connected with other sites like St. John's Cathedral and so on. And we found this, which was about the Ramsey line. And the names all started adding up for different places in the world, with the name John and the name Bennett, St. Bennett, and it was things with that. So we started looking at that and clearing those lines by going there and doing something positive there, sing some songs and, share a picnic or, pardon? Flag raising, dowsing, whatever. Yeah, but just getting people's positive energy to these spaces and connecting them up in a positive way. The one we did our flag raising at was the site of Kett's Rebellion, and was also the last site and burial ground of the last Roma Black Gypsies in England. So it has a special sort of aspect, but it's also on that line. They always go to those lines, same as the nefarious do, so the good do too. Yeah.
So what do the Satanists? What do the Satanists do at the lines?
Oh, no. It wasn't as bad as some of the things you've heard, Sean, but it involved animals and feces and stuff like that. And the person we spoke to had to sort it out and was quite scared. And it is because it's a ley line site. So what somebody's just put up there, black magic. So it needs some positive input and people's prayer energy to it, healing to it. I put some orgonite there as well at that particular site.
So there's a huge spiritual warfare part to this. Then I'm finding out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're in a spirit. We're in a spiritual battle, aren't we? That is what is happening. I think that's pretty clear.
we
I mean,
talked
that goes through all levels. It goes through everything. It goes through politics, everyday life, interrelations with people. It's not just a kind of, you know, it permeates into all areas of life. You don't need to have a particular view on that spirituality. It's just part of what we're dealing with we all see it, I think.
One of the aspects of the covenant that was released in America as part of their Declaration of Independence, they talk about everyone standing in under the judgment of history, and that we've all been part of something. And it's only when you own your part of that shadow that you're able to be free of it and declare an inner independence. And that's what I find us more and more talking about these days, about how do we separate ourselves within from what we've been part of in order to declare all the other external stuff we want to do, right? And so you're right, very spiritual. And I wanted to ask Sam to mention, just for folks who don't know, what Ket's Rebellion was, where you gathered.
Yeah, well, I think that people from London right through Wyndham to Norwich, it was a rights of the land rebellion by farmers, and I think they carried pitchforks and so on. And then there's dancers and sort of flute players and things like that with it. But there's various stopping places on their route that are connected to it, like Ket's Oak in Wyndham. They met on the hill, and they had a good go at overthrowing the government and doing something about the situation. In the end, I don't think they won, but there was quite a lot of them, and they had a really good go, and they held out for quite some time. Yeah.
You got a question here from Sasha, Sam. I'll go around the panel with it, but I'll start with you. And this is with so many terrible things going on nowadays, how would citizens of Albion protect themselves and their constitution?
There's various. Let's have a look at this. There's various aspects to it. With any republic, you'd have an administration side to it, and you'd have a defense protection side to it, so that you've got backup in some way, and then you'd there's sort of three arms to it really. But the way it's gone wrong before is when things have got too big, and then people have started going off at a tangent, it's kept going and nobody's kept it in check. But with these small groups, and there's 4 or 5 people, and people really getting to know each other and working together, then you can form a constitution that actually takes out the mistakes that have been made before. Like, we're not daft enough to think, like in Plato, that these young men are going to be perfect and they're not going to be corruptible. That all people are going to tell the truth. So it comes down to common sense, but having each other's back and working in small groups, and then laying down things that work tightly, which Hannah's particularly good at.
Really?
I'll bring Hannah in then. Hannah, do you want to expand on what Sasha's...
With
so many terrible things going on, how could citizens of Albion protect themselves and their constitution?
Well, I think there's something quite important about just knowing that we're not doing. There's nothing wrong about what we're doing. We're not, in a way. There's what we've been trained to think about how we interact with the system we live in is that we need to bring it down. And although there are a certain kind of revolutionary spirit to what we're doing, it's really not. It's actually about bringing us up. It's not about attacking things and bringing things down and destroying things. It's actually about bringing us up so that we can do good. So if you know that you've got your conscience and you're doing good and you're not doing anything wrong, all of this is about peace. Fundamentally, it's about peace and being lawful. So if someone's going to attack you for doing that, which of course does happen, and it happens in the system that we live in now, where people get attacked for being good and lawful. So we're already in that situation where we need to, how do you protect yourself? That's already happening. So we might as well go, well, let's do something where it's a lot of it's about doing some study, doing some research, connecting with people, and just taking it step by step. There's no big kind of, it's kind of bit by bit, we go and we take it as we can, really.
You could easily say, like, how is everyone on this land protecting themselves as citizens? Yeah, and against the constitution, the way it's being used, like not Albion, like where we are now. Yeah, this UK. Like, how are you protecting yourself? Because we're under attack.
Mm-hmm. Do you mind if I jump in with? It's a real question because you are targeted in various ways, and it's totally selective and random. It doesn't mean everybody's going to get taken out. I mean, it's a question everyone has often. If I become a citizen, what's going to happen to me? Am I going to get targeted? Because a lot of people won't get involved unless they know they can be protected. But the simplest way to do that, as Hannah was describing, was, and Sam, when you have each other's backs, one of the first things we do when we form cell groups is form an urgent action network so that people can be connected very quickly on the phone or knocking on each other's doors, because it's good to do it in a local community where you can have access. And we find if the cops arrest somebody, you got 5 or 10 people down there, and you go down to the station and you say, he's not alone, she's not alone. And usually that's very powerful to show that we do cover each other's backs. You've got to be able to show that in practice. If you can't protect each other, it's hard to build anything. You know, at the same time, we appeal to people in the system. You wouldn't believe the number of cops and other people who come forward. We even have contacts in ICE in America who tell us what's going on in their prisons. And when you make the high ground moral appeal, you'll be surprised the number of people in the system who say, thank God somebody's doing this, and they can be allies on the inside. But you got to be bold and audacious and not be afraid ever, because you know, when you give into the fear vibration, you're attracting it, and you can't ever do that. You're operated of love and the high ground and make the appeal, and that's often enough. But we got to face the fact as well that regardless of how moral and peaceful we are, we're still a threat to people with vested interest, and there'll be a backlash. So we got to be prepared for that, definitely. Right.
We've got a question from Sam here, from Sarah. Sorry, and I'll start with Sam. So Sarah is saying, how can we convince others that voting and boycotting no longer works? How do we help people take a leap?
It's difficult to convince somebody. You can tell somebody as much as you like, unless it affects them. Quite often, you can't always convince them, but you can give them some evidence of things that have happened. I mean, we've tried absolutely everything. You know, if I was to explain to somebody everything we've tried and what we found out. I mean, I got elected for 7 years. We took a council over. I went to Brussels. We've sent notices. We've walked into police stations. We've done so many things, and nothing's worked. We have friends who've had their children taken. They've been, I don't know, abused, whatever. And everything that we tried to do to get any restorative justice, any help for them, has not worked through the system. It's only worked through our network of us working with one another and providing, you know, therapeutic support, practical support, even educational support as to what your rights are and how to apply them. We've been to the end with trying to give evidence to the system and trying to get them to do anything. We've been in every police station, every school, and so that's, you know, there's nothing happening. We've tried it. If somebody wanted to ask about an example and say, well, would it work in this case, and we hadn't tried it, we may be able to try it, but most things we've tried it and it hasn't worked. It just hasn't worked. We've tried the law, everything. They're not doing it. They're not playing.
I'll put the same question to Hannah and Jason then from Sarah. How can we convince others voting, boycotting no longer works? How can we help people take a leap?
Join. Go to republicofalbion.com and email us on the contact page. Join us.
I think sometimes we kind of focus on outside of ourselves a lot, and we all do that because it's how we're taught to think about the world is out there, the world is other people and what they're doing. You know, that's what's going on. And that's why this is a really spiritual thing. It's about it's all about what happens in here, really. That is what, and you know, so I'd say, don't worry about convincing other people. Like, if you feel something and you want to find out more, then you can make those choices. You're free to make a choice. You have free will to do that, you know, and even if it's just asking questions or finding out more, you know, and that goes with the fear as well, because fear exists. It's a mechanism that we have with us. It's not going to go away. It's just a question of understanding that it's a passing moment. When you're confronted with something new, it dissipates, and you meet people and you have a different situation. You know, we're all facing different things. No one's a hero in this. We're all just people. So don't worry about it. And, you know, familiarity helps, doesn't it? When you get familiar with something, you become less fearful about it. It's just like, oh yeah, that's the thing. It's the Republic of Albion. Wonder what they think, you know, and then we can start to have an interaction.
Anything to add, Kevin, or do you want the next question?
They've said it well. You know, people know the system doesn't work, and it's not that they support it, it's they don't see an alternative. So building the alternative in your community to say, look, you can come to this meeting and join other people like you. That's the way a grassroots republic is built.
All right, you got a question from Agent Orange. Does the sovereign citizen fall under this criteria?
What criteria?
I mean, we would.
What criteria, sorry?
Agent Orange, if you can expand on that, and we can continue. I think you just put another question, actually. Is it possible to remove a Supreme Court appointee apart from a sexual assault charge?
You referring to America? I don't know.
Yeah, he's referring to America. Agent
Well,
Orange, your questions need to be a bit clearer, my friend. All right, let me move on to the next one then. Ray J is saying, have you considered you might be being used as a tool of the divide and conquer plot? Do you have all the information needed to defend against that?
It's not about information.
Well, I think divide and conquer is a really interesting thing, you know, because in a way, it's a big area, isn't it? Divide and conquer, because that's what's used as the main tool to make people not do things, to be stuck, you know, to go, I'm in that group or that group, and that's, you know, that we're pitted against each other, so we're fighting, there's infighting, and that's used as a way to stop any kind of real traction taking place. I mean, the basic tenet of Republic of Albion is natural law, and if you go onto the website, there's quite a comprehensive breakdown. It's a huge area, you know, because it covers everything, but there's quite a good breakdown of the kinds of things that is, and it's really basic stuff. And the basis of the law in this country is common law, and that's there. So we're not doing anything that's outside of the actual traditions that are already here, you know. So it's like basically going, let's go back to first principles, because what the system we're in at the moment isn't working. And if nothing else, to just learn and find out about the place we live in and to create a community. If nothing else, that's, you know. So if that's divide and conquer, I'm not sure that it would be. I think, I'm not sure.
The opposite.
Sam,
Yeah.
Anything to add to that last point?
I think we're more trying to support and provide what's been missing for people who need restorative support, like people who've suffered from the poverty or the injustice, and what things are available for them, rather than having anything to do with a manipulative idea by somebody else. So I think we're more focusing on what we can provide, what we can do. Yeah.
Okay, we've got some questions from Anna.
Could I just add one kind of one thing?
Yeah.
We've been hit by divide and conquer a lot. I've lost at least 5 different organizations were destroyed by infiltrators in divide and conquer. Divide and conquer only works if you're afraid and paranoid in the first place. And when you put out a general appeal like we're doing across the planet to unite people on a common ground, that's not dividing and conquering. It's quite the opposite. But there will be infiltrators. There will be people who try to use all sorts of methods. We're quite adept in spotting those. That's why we wrote that book, Whistleblower Manual. That's a good instruction manual about how to avoid divide and conquer and look out for people trying to do it. So, I think it's kind of it's not an issue right now because, for one thing, we're not big enough. But anyway, it's got to keep all that in mind.
So Anna's saying, how do you propose removing people from office that are governing via criminal psychopaths and they have got tech like Palantir at their disposal?
Good question.
Good question. What do you think? We'd like your suggestions, please, audience. Can we ask you? Can we ask you for your suggestions, please? I mean,
well, Anna's hinting.
Idea?
We've seen this movement towards getting the digital control grid ID introduced here, and Anna's saying that these demonic elites are trying to get even more control through AI and have this control grid. I think Palantir is one of the contractors involved in the digital control grid, and it's like the Promise software on steroids, basically. So as these elites are weaponizing with AI against us, and Anna's asking how do we counter that, I think.
But are they, or is it theatre? That's the question. And do we consent to it? No. Do they have to have consent and in natural law to do anything? Yes. Spiritually, we need to be well protected. And yes, frequencies can affect us, and being educated about frequency bioresonance, healing machines and things like that is a good thing to learn about, because you can obviously have a counter field to that, which keeping your frequency high is a good way to improve your health and protect yourself against those sorts of people.
Just don't be part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in London the other day, pertaining to this comment that's just coming from Deborah. I was in London the other day, and I'd never seen anything like it. I was walking just along a street, and all of a sudden there was all these cameras and this big sign that said facial recognition in progress, and all these cameras were pointed at me, and everybody was walking through this like tunnel of cameras. And then I looked down the side street, and there's like 30 police officers, like the Gestapo, just all lined up, like adjacent to these cameras. I'm like, what is going on in London right now with this stuff? I've never seen anything like this before in my life. But yeah, they're definitely scrambling to introduce all of this stuff.
I think there's a thing about, like what I was saying about, I'll go back to my little bugbear at the moment, which is the plane of effects. You know, what all these things come about, they are effects from a cause. And they come about because underneath that, the structural element of how law and the law works and corporations work within that has become completely corrupted, so that there is no recourse, that we have no ability to go, hang on a minute, you can't do that, so it's a question of, there are all these things going on in that we see in the drama of the horrors that are going on, and we get caught rabbit in the headlights. Oh my god, and that's what they want. They want us to be caught rabbit in the headlights all the time and be traumatized by all this horrible stuff. They're absolutely loving that. We'll just keep doing that, keep going. Isn't this terrible? Isn't this terrible? Isn't this awful? We can do that forever because there's so many awful things happening. We could just spend years doing that, because it's so bloody horrible. So that's the plane of effects. That's what it is. And politics is well embedded into that. That's, and all the media is as well, because it's all part of the same thing. So what we're doing is going, okay, that is going to carry on for a while. That's not going to go away. I think we all know that. It might have some knocks, hopefully some pretty bad knocks, but it's not going to just go away nicely, so we have to look underneath it and go, what is causing this? And it's a structural thing on all levels. It's structural, it's deep down. So that's what we're looking at, and trying not to get too focused by all the nastiness.
I think it's also a spiritual question, and we're in a state of group spiritual possession. and group psychosis, and you can't find a solution for it within that psychosis. You've got to start again. This is what we were saying right at the beginning. You start again, rebuild from the inside out, get out of their system. There's no answer within their system. If anything, it's going to self-destruct and come down, right?
Yeah.
All right, so a question from Mr. M. Do you ever feel weird about hating corporations, but we are making a living from a Silicon Valley company? They're saying that we're my response to that would be we are weaponizing the enemy. They're saying that we're using technology, but we're trashing it at the same time. Anyone like to add to that?
You could say it about the atom, couldn't you? You could say you could use it to make a bomb, or you could use it to make, some positive energy and heal everybody in the world.
Exactly. Everything's neutral, isn't it? It depends what the intention is for it.
Yeah, it's down to intent a lot. Do no harm is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Anna's saying, is it true that people are getting arrested for social media posts? Anna, I think it's like up to 12,000 people here now in the UK. Tweet, all of these predators don't even get investigated because they said the police haven't got resources. But oh my goodness, you say a certain thing online, and Starmer's Gestapo will take you out of your house in the middle of the night, and you will be doing some prison time. Yeah, it's crazy out here.
Well, it's interesting, like what you're saying is it media spin? As in, is that a way of creating more fear, which is obviously what they want, as well? And I guess the answer is we don't know that. We don't know. All we can know is that if we're focused always on what's outside of us and what we see, and we don't realize that we are the creators we're the architects of our reality, as I heard someone say the other day. We're the creators of our reality. That's where this work that we're doing or trying to do, which is quite basic stuff really, it's about us as individual people. It's not about trying to solve everything out there. It starts here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say to the viewers as well, we've got almost 1,000 watching across all the platforms. We've got about 10 minutes left before we got our Freemasons exposed Epstein guest Julian Dory coming on. So if you've got any final questions right now, please put them in the chat. And also, please support the important work that all of these guys are doing. If you go into the description box, if you're watching on replay, the Republican of Albion website is down there. And we've got a plethora of links for Kevin down there as well, including the Kevin playlist. You can watch all of his previous stuff on this channel while it lasts before YouTube zaps it. All right, let me see what the next questions are then. Let's have a look. Let's see. Is there a ley line in North Wales? Nicole wants to know.
Sure.
North Wales.
Where was that map?
The Druid stronghold was Anglesey, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah, that was where the big fight happened with the Romans. They fought all the Druids in Anglesey because that was where they.
Wow. Naomi is saying the problem is the Freemasons are controlling everything. How do we get rid of them?
We organise ourselves. We create the world we want to see. It's hard work, there's a lot of work. We've just started as Republic. There's a lot of work to do. We've got to create shows, we've got to create training programs. There's loads of work. But if you want to do something, rather than just looking at what's happening and going, oh my God, then join us. And we can work, we can organise just as governing ourselves. Kudos to Kevin, those books are amazing. They are manuals, based on experience of what they've done in Kanata for the last 10 or 15 years.
I mean, raising the frequency is really important. And from the people that we've met and spoken to who are Masonic family lines or victims of SRA, they give you an idea of what's going on where. So you can go and, change the energy there. And by making it known that it stops these people from doing it because people will have the courage to come forward. And there's more and more and more coming forward on the Imagination podcast, on your show. And the more we break that down and people decide in our generation not to carry on what their parents were doing and so on, then the more we break it and the more we change it. Keep going.
Kelly wants to know if people around the world can be involved.
They are. We're kind of a part of an informal network in 9 countries now, including 2 indigenous nations in Canada, that are working together, like with the people in America, sharing the common vision. It's kind of our answer to the global corporatocracy. And so, yes, you're connecting with people in all these other countries. You can write to us to find out more about that.
All right, next question then is from Fern. Do you feel better after clearing the energy? Do you want to go for that, Hannah?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can do that wherever you are, to be honest. You don't have to go to a specific place. It's just about you filling yourself up with your own frequency. All of us as individuals and as a collective, because a collective doesn't exist without the individuals within it, right? So, they're one and the same, are absolutely, nothing happens without us. We have to realize how much power we have, how much we create, and just to love that and to do that and be wherever you are, you can do that. It would be really great to make some to make some outings to particular places and get a few people there. We can then have, we're planning some things in the summer to get a few people that we can just get together in the real life, in real people, turn the phones off. I know it sounds, but it's important to do it. It changes things, when you're actually in a place with people. As we all know, we're all human beings, right?
Yeah, Sam, anything to add? Are you resonating at a higher frequency after clearing the energy?
I've been doing healing work for about 28 years. And we have a healing group, and we do kinesiology, and we send remote healing out as a group. We connect and we send healing to people to help protect them, to help get them well. There's also bioresonance machines that some of our members have that you can use to bioresonate your DNA. It's quite advanced, and you can do all that work on those ley line sites, and we sometimes camp on them. And this year we'll probably have a camp, at least one, maybe two. Freedom Festival in Thetford, probably about July time. People will come along and be some music, singing, and yeah, that sort of work. And I do all healing. I teach people how to make healing ointments, products. It's about making yourself well, being confident, growing stuff, and then looking after yourself instead of relying on corrupted systems and bought out cities to do it for you.
Goldie wants to know if this will also be helpful for the animal kingdom.
Yes, it totally is. You can do kinesiology, you can use medicines, you can use things like colloidal silver, on animals, and you can find out what's wrong with them, and then you can work with them. Yeah, absolutely you can. I've healed all my animals using natural materials, and it saves you a lot of money, a lot of stress going somewhere and having the risk of somebody else messing it up. Probably saved quite a few operations in people and animals. Here's
one for Kevin. Will the Republic of Albion be reclaiming any Anglican or Catholic church buildings?
I can't speak for the Republic. If it was up to me, of course. They're just standing there empty most of the time, and they're convicted from organizations. So let's go and open them up as communities.
Give it a go.
And you got another one on a similar subject, Kevin, from Kylie. It feels like there's a rise in Catholicism in the USA. Is this a psyop?
Well, I work with Catholics on the ground. The exact opposite's happening. Their churches are collapsing. So they need to create a psyop over here as they're falling apart. A lot of Catholics are leaving based on a lot of the stuff we brought out. And so it's the mirror image of what you officially see, right?
Mm. Yeah. And here,
right, the only one. Sorry, keep going.
I was going to say the only people I've seen really going to the Catholic churches here is because of the number of immigrants that need something to belong to, but it's not the usual population growing in terms of the churches, and a lot of them being sold off and turned into nurseries here. Yeah.
Right, we are almost at the hour, folks. So what I'm going to do now is go around the panel and get your concluding thoughts. And I'll start with Hannah.
Oh, thanks so much for having us. It's been really great to bring that. And if there's anyone listening who's just curious and wants to talk and is like just feels like this is something I want to find out more about, just get in touch. And that you can do that through the website. We really want to hear from people, we want to hear from, you know, a lot of people, but ex-police. I want to hear from ex-bankers. I want to get to know. We need to do a lot of work. You know, it's not about, as I say, it's not about destroying things and bringing things down. It's about understanding what we can do to build into what we are. That means that we limit the corruptive element that we see around us. That we do better than our ancestors have, basically. So that this doesn't happen again in 1,000 years. I know it sounds stupid to say it, but that's basically where we're at. And we haven't got long. We've got 20 years tops. So we need as much help we can get, and a good energy. It's all about peace. And of course we want to reclaim churches and Catholic. You know what they have done. They're destroying themselves as well, and we can help them along the way. But the personal energy that you know, people have direct experiences where they have been victims of crimes, you know, and they want to talk to people. They want people who will listen and will be there for them and listen to them in confidence. And you know, then that you can do that. You know, that's what we want to set ourselves up as. It takes work to do that, and we'd love other people to join that process, please.
Okay, anything, Jason, to add?
Thanks for having us as well, and thanks Kevin for the opportunity. I just say, like, you know, this land and everyone's on it. Those who have suffered the most deserve to become the most happiest. And we've got to start listening to each other and build. So yes, we will we will reclaim all the churches and stuff. We will, if we're going to do this right, then we need people. So join us. You know, if you feel that this is like saying this, you want to talk more, like Hannah said, then talk to us. Connect to us through the republicofalbion.com website.
All right, I'll bring Sam in.
Yeah. So yeah, we need you. Thanks, Sean, for having us. Ex-military, prison officers, so that we can learn how we could run that restorative system better. People from the health services who just see a way of actually doing it the right way. All those people, you should come and join us and help us to restore justice by, you know, working with us so that the people can be working for the people. Yeah, come and see us.
All right, and finally, Kevin, thank you, Sam.
It's beautiful. I love you all. This is so hard restorative for me just to be part of this process. But I want to say the only one thing I disagree with what's being said. We don't have 20 years. We maybe have 20 months. With Agenda 2030, there's going to be horrible things coming down, which we can't even imagine right now. And that's not to scare people, it's to prepare us. And everyone listening today, if you're at all concerned, you will join the Republic of Albion if you're living on the island, because that's the only way to put our steam into a piston that's going to cause movement. We can't have the steam or the piston by themselves. We need to work together and join with these wonderful folks to form local cells and then assemblies, take back the nation. Our children and their survival and our grandchildren, it depends on you doing that. It's that simple. So we're working together internationally in this. We need every one of you to be involved. You're all important.
All right, well, huge thank you for coming on, guys. Our next guest I see is in the next studio, Julian Dory. We're going to be talking about Epstein and Freemasons. So stay tuned for that one. This video will transfer you over to it. And like I said, if you please support the links, got the Republican of Albion website. Kevin's got tons of other links, and he's got his contact information in the description box. So if you want to get involved, please get involved and get that energy cleared. So a huge thank you for coming on, and we will see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.